The Josh Heupel wide splits offense is one of the most unique in the entire country. I think it came to national spotlight in 2022 when they took down Alabama in that, ESPN classic. They take the goalpost down. Everyone in the national media got to see what the wide splits looked like. And I think a lot of people perceived it as this gimmick offense. I mean, you're taking wide receivers and separating them so far from the offensive linemen, and it's going to be this air raid attack. Tennessee is all about throwing the ball deep. You have Jalen Hyatt win the Biletnikoff Award. Hendon Hooker, has his breakout damn near Heisman level season if he did not tear his ACL. And everyone just points to it and says, oh, it's just a version of the air raid. That's what Josh Heupel wants to run at Tennessee. And yes, I think in 2024, people have come around to the realization that it's not an air raid offense. It's not really about the passing offense at all. Tennessee is a run-first offense. The idea of the wide splits is intended to be a run-first offense. And it's a damn shame we're now having to realize with Dylan Sampson and the incredible year that he has had up to this point that I think the public is finally coming to this realization. But it's not to say that the quarterback can't be extremely dynamic and dangerous within this offense. The reason why I chose it now, not only because they play Ohio State, and most likely, I've had a bad track record of making these videos, and then the offense performs poorly. I think of UNLV and the go-go offense. I think Oregon didn't have a great outing when I made their video. So I apologize, Tennessee fans, for doing this to you. But to be honest, this offense needs more love. Just outright, it needs more love because I still see people time and time again, especially Ohio State fans this week, call it a gimmick. And if you just look at the ideology behind it, the concepts, it makes sense on why Josh Heupel runs the offense like he does. And sure, a quarterback like Hendon Hooker hasn't had that same level of success, but they've also had a guy like Joe Milton who was talented enough to execute it like Hendon, if not more talented, but he's a flawed quarterback and he didn't have the time to develop. Yes, he sat behind Hendon for 1 year. He just didn't execute in the 1 year he had that opportunity. I also don't think he had the support out wide like Hendon had with a Hyatt. And then we get to Nico, who I think is just young. I think the guys that he's throwing to have been getting open. Nico's just missed him. And I think next year, that's when you get to see a quarterback really dominate this offense. But you have to understand, it's not intended to have a quarterback dominate. A lot of people go and look at a guy like Hendon Hooker, but they fail to realize the reason why Hendon was so dangerous is they were trying to stop the run. And so what we're going to do today is walk through the concepts of the wide splits offense. I'm going to hop into College Football 25 and walk through their playbook just so you could see it in action a little bit. I've been dealing with a lot of copyright issues and showing actual plays from real life. And so you're going to see a lot of pictures instead of videos today, but then you're going to see College Football 25 kind of bring it to life. But before we dive in, I want to take a moment and just say thank you so much. We're at the Christmas time of the year. You see the lights around me. I just want to say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everyone who is watching this video. At the time of making this video, we're damn near at 4,000 subscribers. If you did not know, at the beginning of January of 2024, I made it a goal to just get 1,000. After 3 years of making videos, I really wanted to get better at this and get better over the course of the year. And we're damn near at 4,000. And I just have to say thank you guys so much. If you're new around here, I only ask one simple question. Just give me an opportunity to talk football with you. Whether it's a like, a comment, a subscribe, anything across the board means the world to me. And I also want to plug in, I have an email down below. You guys have sent some incredibly thoughtful and nice suggestions and just notes in general that have genuinely made my day. And so with that being said, we're going to dive into this Josh Heupel offense because I gotta say, it's one of my favorite in the entire country. Now, Tennessee football and their fan base have been desperate for consistent success since the late 2000s. As soon as Coach Fulmer was dismissed and it was not with the program, it has been an up and down ride to say the least. And to be honest, over the years and over the decades of the 2010s, they had tried innovative offensive minds to come to the program and make a major difference, and they had missed time and time again. And then they get to a Josh Heupel hire. They make a change at the athletic director. They go towards a guy that was from UCF. And so therefore he brings in the football coach from UCF to have that continuity. And I think having that continuity makes all the world of a difference, especially in the world of college football today, especially when we're in 2024, where NIL, the transfer portal, communications on investments into that football program have to be so critical that having that connection between your athletic director and your head coach could be massive. I think just a small example is Schlossnagle for Texas A&M, the baseball coach, did not agree with a lot of things that the athletic director and the investments that were not going towards the baseball program, so much to a point where he goes to Texas, their arch rival, because of disagreements. Having that relationship could be massive on having the keys to be able to turn your program into exactly what you want it to be. But that's not to say that when Josh Heupel was hired, there was a vote of confidence across the board. It happens anytime you hire a coach to a major program, especially in the SEC, that isn't from, a Power 5 program, that isn't from an NFL job. You are taking a major risk. I think of how they've treated Billy Napier at Florida. They always fall back to the fact that he was the head coach at Louisiana. And after a solid start to his career at Tennessee, 7-6 in the first year in 2021, everything changed in 2022. In what felt like the biggest matchup in over 15 years between the third Saturday in October rivalry, Tennessee and Alabama, Bryce Young comes into town. Hendon Hooker's had an incredible start to the year. You have Jalen Hyatt out wide. Everything's on the line. The pressure is on. And most times, second-year head coaches will fold in this moment. The roster isn't ready. They still need time to develop. And you know what Tennessee did? They executed, and they showed that this offense can cause some serious problems to other elite SEC defenses. And don't try to tell me, it wasn't like the 2009 Alabama defenses. It wasn't like the 2011 Alabama defenses. At the end of the day, it was a Nick Saban defense. It was elite athletes on the other side. And this gimmick offense put up points after points after points and went head-to-head against the Heisman winner, Bryce Young. And Tennessee was incredible. Conceptually, what Josh Heupel is doing to defensive coordinators is putting them in a position where they have to show their hand. First things first, when you have these wide splits, it's really difficult to put a man on the defensive side of the ball in between those gaps because you're showing it's most likely going to be zone coverage. Disguising your defense against Josh Heupel's offense is really difficult. The point of the offense is truly to show, okay, are you going to allocate your players towards the box to cover the rushing attack? Okay, if that's the case, I'm going to send my players out wide to make a deep throw over the middle, or that big gap that you're allocating your resources towards inside the box, I could just send someone to sit in an option route in the middle of that gap, and you're not going to be able to pull a linebacker to go to the outside. Okay, we're going to combat that. Instead of allocating all these players to go condensed in the middle, we're going to put fast, safeties. We're going to go out wide. We're going to cover those corners. Oh, the box is lighter. Now I'm going to be able to run the ball. On top of that, Josh Heupel's implemented RPOs. So now you don't know if it's going to be a run or a pass. So you're kind of stuck in this in between. Okay, we're going to put just enough players in the box. We're going to put just enough players on the outside, but there's all this space on the intermediate side of the field. We're talking horizontally. We're not talking vertically. We're talking the intermediate part. Now there's all this massive amount of space. What am I supposed to do? This offense to a bad defense is a nightmare. So Tegan, how am I supposed to stop this? How does Georgia be able to stop this? Because if you think in that 2022 year, Georgia got the job done. And at the end of the day, it's just having better players be able to execute and be more disciplined. Georgia, one of the best defenses of all time in 2022. They just were able to sit there and say, okay, you want us to have man coverage on the outside? We're going to have the corners that are going to be able to stop your players. Then what? You're not going to be able to run the ball. You're not going to be able to execute the plays that you want to. We trust that our athletes are better than your athletes, and we're going to be able to handle the line of scrimmage. But if you let Tennessee handle that with their tempo, you're screwed. You're just straight up screwed because they're more than fine at the end of the day continuously handing the ball off until you load the box, and that's where they get you. I think the best example is basically how a boxer will sit there, jab, 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 wait for it, and get that opportunity for a knockout punch. The jabs are the inside zone runs, the quarterback runs, the quick little screens. Get the defense to come up to that line of scrimmage, shot downfield. It's very similar to the philosophy that Vanderbilt had against Alabama in 2024. Not the same level of execution with like the triple option, but the philosophy was they were going to be fine with 3-yard rushes, 4-yard rushes, and then finally when Alabama condenses and has man-to-man coverage on the outside, Diego Pavia takes a shot downfield. Instead, with Tennessee, their offensive philosophy is we're going to split out these wide receivers as far as possible and try to either have enough blockers where it overwhelms the front 7, or they're going to have to bring in more guys to match it. And now we have outside man-to-man coverage, leaving that safety basically in no man's land, because there's no way that a guy that's damn near on the left sideline can be covered all the way to the right sideline. Unless your name is, I don't know, Ed Reed, Troy Polamalu, I don't even think they could cover it in that fashion. But that's just the offense conceptually. I want you to be able to see what I'm talking about in College Football 25 and some live action. I understand it's not the best depiction of what this offense truly looks like, but it's the closest thing I can get to without the video taken down. So let's dive into College Football 25. As you can see, we are in College Football 25. I think this is going to be the best way that I can visually represent what this offense can look like without using a ton of game film before I get copyright strikes and the channel gets taken down. I'll be honest, I don't want to deal with that. And so I think this is going to be the closest middle ground that we can get to. And as you can see, all within this offense, everything is called wide across the board. There's times where they're wanting to bring in the tight end to play a lot closer. Reason being is very simply put, if I were to go to, say, inside zone split, we pick a random defense, the main reason you want to bring in a blocker and you don't want to send a tight end out wide is to match the front 7. Right now, I can have 6 guys blocking the 6 within the box. That is exactly what I'm looking for. It's trusting that my guys are going to be able to physically dominate against their guys. And Dylan Sampson, if a hat is on a hat, he's going to be able to cook in this situation and be able to consistently get those 4 yards, 5 yards, 4 yards, an explosive play there where they have to bring in maybe a safety into the box, maybe a slot corner, because look how far these wide receivers are having to play. I have to zoom out the camera for you to effectively see how wide and horizontally stretched this offense is. So we're going to run this couple times just so I can potentially try to see if a randomizer is going to bring in some other guy into the front 7, and then we can make some changes so that we can show how dangerous this offense gets when you bring someone else into the box, leaving the wide receivers to get one-on-one coverage. As you can see, it's just barbecue chicken from there. So this is a good example of them moving players into the box to help supplement the rushing attack. To the point of what I was making earlier in the video of jab, jab, jab. The knockout punch is a formation right here. Right now, the defense is showing their hand. If you look at that right slot corner, he's playing off coverage of White and he is facing the quarterback. This is telling me this is zone coverage. And where zone coverage is super hard to run against this offense is because there's so much space horizontally. McCoy could go into a post route and find that soft spot in the middle of the area. Caleb Downs will have to face that. But then I could do the same thing with Brazel and force him to be in a position where he has to make a decision. You have to potentially mix in some man coverage to make Nico think. But the thing is because of the 7 in the box, I shouldn't run the ball here. I should move to a passing concept to see what kind of player is going to get open in the situation. Right here, I think it's going to be McCoy. If that linebacker on the left side crashes down, I don't anticipate that Mike to be able to get to the left side, and I don't anticipate the corner to be able to play it in time. Worst case, I can try to find Brazel over the middle because that slot corner also has to account for the tight end. This is what causes so many problems when you have to allocate towards the rushing attack and Dylan Sampson. And the only reason why defenses are able to have success against this offense is A, if Nico's just straight up missing the deep shots downfield, and B, if you have the players on the outside that you can 110 trust that they can play well in man coverage and make smart decisions. Ohio State can do that. I mean, Caleb Downs is the best safety in the country. They have really, really talented corners, NFL athletes on the outside. And so that's going to cause some problems. But against teams that don't have that trust and have to show their card and put more players in the box or drop more into coverage, it is a nightmare to face. So this formation is probably what people know the most from this offense. It's 4 wide receivers out wide. And so we're going to put into slot fades and see what kind of defense we get. And I think it's only right that we actually respot the ball for what everyone talks about this offense in, and the deep shots downfield. I feel like we need to expand the range of what we're going to see here. So obviously we're not going to have the tight end in play in this situation. We're electing to add more speed to the outside and creating more space. The problem with that as well is when you have another player on the outside, this is a perfect rushing opportunity. You have Jack Sawyer, the defensive player for Ohio State, on the outside, and it is 5v5 in this situation. And right here, I'm going to just jump into an RPO, and I'm just going to run the ball. I mean, that's the easy choice every single time. Sure, that was a 3-yard game, but you're going to take that advantage every single time you're facing it. And worst case, say those right side corners drop back into coverage, you're looking at a quick screen to get the ball into your player's hands. Maybe they're disguising it. Right here, I look at that left side. Brazil versus that slot corner. They're playing man coverage on the outside with press. And if you look, it looks like one high safety. I don't think that left side or that top safety is going to roll to his left. Someone's going to get open downfield. And that's virtually a touchdown. I mean, that is what makes this wide split so difficult to stop. Because taking the tight end out of it almost makes it more difficult. You could just check down into a running play, and you're going to get big explosives like that every single time. And defenses have to make distinct decisions or try to hide their coverages. But it's just one of those things where it's like, I need to just trust my athletes to go make a play, or we're going to get burned like this. We can't run one high safeties because their athletes are going to be able to make plays against my slot corners. And I have to be aware of guys like Squirrel White on the outside who could potentially go downfield. At peak efficiency, there's a lot of, like, if we just look at 2024, Tennessee has had these plays get open on, I would say, a pretty consistent level. I just think he's missed it like that. It's been under, it's been over, but if he can start to hit these, I don't think it's been a lack of scheme. I think the play calling has been inconsistent at times at Tennessee. But when this is actually working like a well-oiled machine, I think it's one of the most difficult offenses to stop in the country. I mean, look, we add into the screen game. How are you supposed to stop this? And the last one I want to show you is just when you can even bunch them to the outside, where you're having to put all these players to the right. And just watch, honestly, more than just the players on Tennessee and where they are, watch what the defense is doing. That's the entire point of this video, is when I say they're showing their hand. When you look at this front seven, what does this scream to you? And if you didn't say run the damn football, you are wrong. You are outright wrong in that situation. That is free 5-6 yards. Those are the jabs I'm talking about. And a lot of these concepts are to push the ball vertically downfield, but to also have the option to get it to a screen, because if you are going to be able to push the ball downfield, they're not going to play a ton of press coverage. They're just not, and they're going to drop back like that, and you're going to be able to get another 4 to 5. That's where the air raid concepts come into play, as well as the predominant rushing attack always being the lingering threat. And when you have a player like Jalen Wright, when you have a player like Dylan Sampson, this offense is just so close to clicking on all cylinders. It's why they are so dangerous in the college football playoff. And sure, they may get knocked out by the time this video is out. They're playing Ohio State, one of the most talented rosters in the country. You see all the stars on the defense around here, and they have backups that are athletic and really good. The thing is, I'm more scared of Tennessee next year. When Nico is able to hit the shots downfield, when he's able to play at a high level, we're talking Hendon Hooker level. The thing with Hendon Hooker, he wasn't super mobile. You're now going to potentially add a part of the game where the rushing attack from the quarterback is an even bigger issue. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch today's video. You know, I don't love asking for likes, comments, subscribes. The only question I'll ever ask, like I said at the beginning, is just give me a chance to talk football with you. And if it's doing one of those actions so that I pop up on your feed again, that would mean the world to me. We are on the road to 10K, and I think we can do some incredible work in 2025. Have a happy holidays. Enjoy your time with your family. Enjoy your days off. And if you are working over Christmas, God bless you. I am praying for you. And have a fantastic time. I will see you guys next time when we talk about the BCS format and how it is better than the college football playoff.